Without further ado, I'd like to open the Skills Gap in Manufacturing Sector panel discussion. Allow me to please then invite our panelists, Mrs. Yosila Fear, who's the Managing Executive for AdCop Holding. I'm not too sure if the training is there, but the training is after, but yeah, Yosila. May I also kindly invite Vashti Chetty, who is she's a supply chain manager for lubricants Astron Energy. Oh, Vashti. Yeah, Vashti, you've got a strong team there, hey? Then, as a surprise, can I ask you, ma'am, that answered our first question, to come and join us as well? I'd love to engage. Yes, come through. And can I ask you, sir, in the textile industry, come and join us. Come up here. Let's have a chat with you guys. No, sister, I love you, but I see the situation. Stay calm, don't worry, but engage with us. We love you. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our panelists. Fantastic. So we're going to have a nice 20 to 30 minutes or 25 minutes engagement. And of course, to the audience, I really would like us to ask questions. Let's ask difficult questions. Let's ask contradictory questions. Let us challenge, the spectrum of this conversation, because this is a major industry. Right now, the presidency released, their statement that at the core of its mandate and investment attraction, industrialization is key. And industrialization is then developing manufacturing plants. Are we ready to have manufacturing plants? Can we sustain having those plants? And what are we going to do with the training? Because it's all well and good, like the previous panelists have said, that we can get all the training that we need. We can have as many certificates and frame them. But up until we learn how to have outcomes that are impactful, that are tangible, and that last us a well enough number of years to create a legacy, then we can say we are truly working. So I'll open it to the panel. May I just ask that you introduce yourselves, the company that you're from, and also your contribution to the particular topic that we're speaking about. What really is the skills gap in the manufacturing sector? And then we'll then engage further and open it to the audience. Thank you. Switch on the mic. Yeah. There we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ursula Fear, and I'm from AdCorp Group. I think maybe my first disclaimer is that I believe that I'm in the world, or I'm in the business of changing lives. And so I think when we start to look at manufacturing, and certainly when we start to look at any industry, and certainly when we start to also look at the time that we sit in this fourth industrial revolution, this digital age, and now talking about the fifth industrial revolution, I think there's intimate questions, I think, that we've got to ask ourselves as a nation. And in my years, and I've been involved in different skills development interventions around developing critical and scarce skills and across 40 different occupations, from SAP consulting to internal auditing to a particular kind of scarce skill, and certainly done a lot of work in the manufacturing industry. In my previous life, I represented human capital on our manufacturing lead co, which was part of the professional services space. And I think there's a couple of true questions, I believe, that we've got to start to ask ourselves in the frame of sustainable development, employment, and really taking the context of where we sit in this day and age, this VUCA world, as they say we're in. And I think we've really got to almost tackle skills development from a different angle. And I think part of the conversations that over the years that I've certainly been involved in is, I think the voice of what the actual jobs need to look like is maybe a little bit too quiet for my liking. And I think part of our journey, and certainly our focus going forward, when we certainly look at manufacturing, when I look at the higher order thinking jobs that are starting to be produced, for example, in some of the OEMs or the automotives that we're seeing, and the conversation that we're having with the clients is it's actually not a shortage of jobs, but it's the wrong, or we don't have the right skill sets that are actually available to address it. So I think we've got to start to find ways from a job point of view, and certainly having that as our frame of reference in terms of really unpacking what we have to do in this journey of fifth industrial revolution, and the sophistication of what we're starting to see in manufacturing, and with particular reference to high order thinking skills. And so I want us to start to have different partnerships with business that really starts to intimately unpack what knowledge, skills, behavioral, and all of those kind of competencies actually look like in the journey of understanding what higher order thinking jobs are. And I would like to certainly see that conversation start to change with business.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, Vashti?
Hi, my name is Vashti Chetty. I'm from Astron Energy, and I'm the supply chain manager for the lubricants facility that we have in Durban. Part of my function, I just want to give you some context. So I'm responsible for the full supply chain, including manufacturing and distribution. And why I want to highlight this is because our workforce that is fully insourced at the moment, we also outsource a lot of other services, more specialized skills as outsourced. And when I say specialized skills, I'm referring to warehousing, and I'm referring to security and maintenance and that type of skill set. So as I look at our operations facility, our manufacturing facility, we have a whole range of jobs and a whole range of different skill sets that's required. So everything from an operator at the shop floor level, right up to the analyst and the engineer that's supporting the maintenance programs. So there are a number of jobs, and there are a wide range of skills. And so it's not the easiest to go and have a look and say, okay, where do we focus on here? Because you've got to look at all the different areas and then look at the workforce you have and how do you close it. So if I look internally, so for me, currently my focus is to look internally. You've heard from my colleague in the panel previously of all the external type of programs that we have and the opportunities we create for younger people to come into the organization, to get trained and get absorbed within the organization. And we have a great retention track record so far with our internships. But I wanted to focus today the discussion on internally looking at, this is a South African organization, and so we have people of different ages with different skill sets and very different educational backgrounds. And so as you look internally, it's asking yourself, how do I bridge the gap to basic education? Forgetting about, high-tech type skills, let's look at basic education first. And then once we have that, if you think the third revolution is all about, internet and computers and stuff, we're not necessarily there with all of our workforce. And so we need to bridge the basic education and then build on computer literacy and analytics and on-the-job training. And I heard a panel discussion once on how do you keep people in your workforce, and they say if you don't have development programs within your workforce, your retention, and I know that was one of the aspects we said is a challenge, you are 15 times more likely to lose your people because you don't have development programs. So you have to, as much as we want to educate the young people, we also have to look at retention of people and retention of our skills. And then also, training is not always fun. And so making it an everyday type experience, part of what you're doing is part of training. And I think that specifically will make it interesting for people. And they'll want to be trained, even if they don't necessarily realize it's a training intervention. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Vashti. Yes, ma'am. Please reintroduce yourself as well, so that we know.
Hi, thanks for hijacking me. But,
You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Libby. I come from ADCOP Training Services, to be more specific, the Production Management Institute. So what we do in our business is we do training for different institutions, specifically focusing on operations management as well as production. And what I think I like about my job is the fact that it gives me the chance to make a change in a way that I think in most people's lives would not be such a serious or a big thing, but in terms of where I come from, I'm a rural girl, otherwise known as village girl. But in terms of where education can take you and the opportunities that it makes you available to is very amazing. And what I like about it as well is the fact that I'm able to connect business with regards to what the scarce skills are and how we can train together, being a training institution, and how we can make sure that our training is impactful. Because as much as we want it to be training for the sake of meeting our BE requirements or for the sake of us being compliant, we also need to train for competency. And working with young people has proven to me that being able to be competent gives you the advantage in competing in the marketplace. And the more skill you have and the more knowledge you have in the different industries that you work within, the more you become employable. So I think this is a very serious discussion that we're having today in addressing the problem, the general big problem that South Africa has in terms of skill scarcity and addressing the big problem that we have, which is unemployment. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the tough questions.
Fantastic. Thank you for an impromptu. That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ritumitsi Namani. I'm from Design Style Clothing and Textile. So far, we are basically just a startup, relatively new in the industry. So when it comes to large manufacturing, there's a lot of information I would also like to get from the ladies since they're more experienced with it. But my challenge that I've met so far is, as I said, competency in terms of delivering quality product. Because people might know how to operate a machine, etc., do all the processes of fashion design, but then it's one thing to actually put together a garment, but then it's another thing for it to actually last long. So in terms of that, I would like to see us being involved in actually creating some way to actually make people more competent in terms of quality and delivering quality products.
Sure. Thank you very much for that. Also, I think I selected quite well. You guys are doing well under the circumstances. Yusila, I want to just throw in a bone there. Part of being a speechwriter for politicians, I've had to find myself being a spin doctor. We spin a lot of things. And in our space and exposure around manufacturing, I realized that it's all well and good. Government and the private sector can incentivize in terms of helping people develop their manufacturing plants and so forth. But the problem that we have is, once I've developed or produced this product, access to markets is a challenge. You've got a guy who perhaps is, I know it's called Cloud9 toilet paper. They have tried to go to Pick n Pay, they got in, but then their toilet paper is right at the back or right at the top where you actually can't see it. So eventually the company ends up closing down because there's not much access. So my question to you is twofold. One, you spoke about the right skill set. What is the right skill set that we need for this industry? And of course, it'll filter down to all of you. And two, what happens after manufacturing? What proper strategy or plan can we have in place rather for these entrepreneurs that are locally producing in terms of exporting and making sure that there's a proper distribution that is lucrative and profitable?
Thank you. So with respect to the right skill set, I think the first place we've got to start is with shifting our mindset.
Okay.
And I think South Africa's actually run out of time, and that's why time is of the essence here. And it's more than just the right skill set. I think we've all got to start to combine our thinking and our actions collectively in terms of what we can do about the right skill sets around sustainable employment, around really, really setting up paths for people that they can springboard their careers from. And that includes training providers, it includes learners, it includes government, it includes obviously all your various regulatory bodies, and very importantly, it includes business. And over the years, I've certainly worn a business hat and also a skills development hat. But I somehow think the voice of business is too quiet.
Yeah.
And so when we start to look at the right skill sets and what we really, really, truly need and trying to maneuver forward. I mean, my colleague here said, their biggest problem is also around retention.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've all got to sit around the table to understand and to unpack is what this fit-for-purpose world actually looks like for South Africa.
Sure.
So it does mean we've got to touch on education. It does mean that we've got to impact maths and how we start to develop those critical thinking skills. It does mean we've got to start to look at our organizations with 5-generational workforces, for argument's sake. You made the great comment about every day's got to be a learning day. What we're seeing in the new world of work is that it's all about lifelong learning. We're now responsible for our own learning, and the organization is not responsible for your learning. Content has completely changed. We're seeing megatrends in education, such as your MOOCs, your massive open online courses. And so I think the complexity of people and talent has become the order of the day.
Right.
And what we have to do is we've got to start to be a lot more hands-on in terms of working out what that actually needs to look like. Because our frame of reference today is not what it was in the past.
Sure.
So we desperately need to find our way and find our space as a collective around the table in terms of defining what fit for purpose looks like, taking into account educational gaps, taking into account high order thinking jobs, taking into account the complexity of human capital talent in a workforce. And we've got to start from that point in terms of resolving and seeing how we fix it. So I
Sure.
think there's a new thinking and a new action, I think, that needs to happen, which ultimately will work itself down to growing our economy, talking to the entrepreneurs. And if we have the right intent and we have that mind shift as the collective South African population that all has a job to do in terms of changing and turning our economy around, it means that the entrepreneurs at the end of the day will start to win because our intent is different.
Absolutely.
And so I think our intent needs to be fleshed out a lot quicker and a lot more meaningfully in terms of how we move forward. And not only manufacturing, and certainly it's one industry
Yep.
that we see radical changes, in terms of what's happening. But like I say, when you go and talk to the guys, yes, robotics, automation, etc., is obviously having an impact in how we work. The repetitive part of our jobs is being taken over by your robots and AI and all of those kind of things. But the opportunity for humans and for us to be in different kinds of skill sets is available.
Sure.
So now we've got to take that and we've got to work ourselves back. But I also believe that business have become educationalists, whether we like it or not. So the maths issue is our problem, and the deficit that we're seeing in our education system is our problem because business sits at the end in terms of this whole supply chain. So I think for me, the right skill set is really, really associated with the right paradigm shift and mind shift that we desperately need to start to build as a country.
Absolutely.
With everybody equally involved.
Sure.
And different conversations starting to happen instead of us, sort of all waiting, for the next, key stakeholder group to sort of move along.
Or the next conference, or the next summit.
Conference. So I personally believe there's a desperate, very quick new
Sure.
conversation that needs to start to happen
Okay.
in our space.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And I think really throughout the day we haven't hammered the issue of SMMEs. SMMEs are critical to society. Small businesses by 2021 will be responsible for employing 90% of our population. So forget about the multinational corporations and the big guns. My brother, I had to use the guns this time. No. We're going to have SMMEs that are going to be employing people throughout our population and economy. That's one. The two aspect around it is, one thing that we're not looking at is the rural and township economy. The rural and township economy's net asset value is 100 billion rand. That is 3% of South Africa's GDP. Now, if we go into our communities where the taxi industry exists, and the taxi industry already has a value of 40 billion, your Stockfell industry is now at 70 billion. Your spaza shop industry is now at 7 million. If we go there and structure, just from training, just to structure those entities so that we have proper tracking records, proper referendums, and also we can then develop society within an alignment, I think there's a lot of progress. I tend to feel, Mrs. Fear, that our conversations in some of these conferences and also in our meetings in the corporate sector are so highfalutin. We use big concepts, big words, but we don't understand how it affects the person on the ground. We can't relate to, for example, if you look at the transport industry, which that's the panel afterwards, we've got a serious crisis with trains. Simple thing. When you take a metro train, a woman does not even have access to a bathroom. They will tell you, go behind the corner there and use the bathroom. There's no bathroom, but you know what I mean. Do your business there. Now, that space alone, that is a lack of dignity. People are getting raped on trains. People are getting murdered. People are getting pickpocketed on trains. So how do we then create platforms for us to coexist, safer environments as well? So Vashti, this leads me to your question. My question to you, excuse me. I liked what Mpho said, that she's not from England, and and the English part is not the English, you know what I mean? It's not happening in that segment. So broken English is the new English. Vashti, you said you look internally, and you guys train internally at Ashton Energy under supply chain. What does it take for a young person or just a local South African or a local individual to even get into Ashton Energy or even get into that space? That's one. And in part of answering that, I think it also goes back to what does a company of your standard look for? Because in us training and facilitating, we need to really prepare people to occupy spaces that are within Ashton Energy. And earlier on, even now, we've been speaking about migration. People are leaving. Per month, I had a meeting with some real estate agents. They were worried. I was told that 2,000 people per month are immigrating. This was since 2017. I won't touch on why. I think we know why. The land issue, it's just a bit scary. But we're also losing human capital, and it's a cause for concern. Because the more we can't retain, companies are packing up and going. They're saying, no, fine, we'll go to Botswana. There's more resources there. So I think also, what do you look for? So if I'm a young person sitting in the audience and I'm passionate about energy and I'm passionate about petroleum, what would it take for me to occupy a space at Ashton Energy? That's one. And two, most importantly, please also answer the kind of skills that are important for our economy, and how do we really retain people in a very tough industry like the energy sector? Sure, Vashti. No problem, Vashti. I like you.
So firstly, let me clarify. We don't just look internally.
Okay.
But it is something I wanted to focus this discussion on because
Sure.
we talked a lot about the external programs that we have. So, and our attrition rate is actually very low. It's at 2% or something like that. So people aren't leaving. They're quite happy, actually. And I think it's one of it is because we do focus internally on developing the people we have while we onboard new folk. So to answer your questions, what does it take for a local individual, a young individual, to get into AE? I think we have many programs that will allow individuals access into Astron Energy. But if I talk Astron Energy, guys, it's a many types of disciplines that exist. So I mean, we've got finance and we've got manufacturing, we've got
Right.
operations, and we've got procurement. So there's various skills, and depending on what you would like to do in that company, then that's the skill you need to be looking at. So if
Okay.
you want to go down supply chain, And there are several programs that are out, either through technical colleges or through universities. There's several programs. I know when I studied, there wasn't necessarily a supply chain degree. There wasn't one. Now you can go out and you can actually specialize in it. So that talks to you a little bit about the education system and how that's evolving in line with what is requirement. And supply chain wasn't quite heard of so much. I mean, they talked about operations management, but not so much supply chain. And now it is. For the last 10 or 15 years, a lot of people talk about it. So you can see the response coming through from universities and colleges to tailor their programs to meet these skills requirements.
Sure.
So we have several programs that we talked about. We've got the graduate intern program that looks at engineers, it looks at BCom graduates, it looks at chemists. So, different types of degrees, and they come in. And the thing about universities and colleges, it builds your knowledge base, and you need that. You need knowledge. What we do with our program is we give them the skills. So we're taking your knowledge, and you need your base knowledge for us to be able to give you the experience to build your skill.
Okay.
Right? And
Sure.
I don't, so if you're brand new coming in, and you're straight out of university or college, you don't have that skill set unless the colleges have already geared their programs to make it more experiential learning before you leave. And so for me, as I look at it, if we really want to help society and help the manufacturing industry, or any sector for that matter, we really need to be, all companies need to be partnering with the technical institutes and
That's
saying,
right.
how do I get experience from year one, not at the end of year 4?
Sure.
Because that's what we're doing. We give people all this theory, and then they come out, and they just don't know what to do with it.
Practicalities,
And so
yeah.
I really think that the private sector can partner with the universities and the colleges and say, how do I make it, what programs can we introduce? For instance, vacation work. Can I come in? Or maybe a 4-week program where you come in for 4 weeks in your first year, and you get a feel for what you want. So the thing I have learned about the younger generation is they feel when they're leaving schools, they don't know what they want to study. And there's huge pressure on them. And I've just got a daughter in second year university now. And so when she was applying...
Yeah, you look good.
in
And we've been talking about the age situation for the past few hours.
So when she was applying to universities, I sat with her, and she was like in tears, and she says, kind of what to do? I don't know what to do. And I said to her, you make a decision to study whatever you study. It's the first step. Your career evolves, and we all
That's right.
continue to learn and develop as we grow in our careers. So where you started off is not where you end up.
Right.
And so if we can get that into the people out internally, externally, then people understand there's not all that much pressure to choose something. You want to choose something, you want to go down that path, get some experience in industry while you're studying to know if this is what you want to do. And then you can build the skills. And it's two-way. You can, from an education perspective, universities and colleges and private sector can try and teach you as much as you want. But if you as an individual do not want to learn, then there's no learning happening. There's no skills development. And so people need to take charge of their lives, and they need to say, I want to learn this, and I want to get into an energy sector as
Sure.
an example.
Okay.
So, so in terms of this, like the skills for our economy, that's a huge question, actually. What skills do we need for our economy? I think we need to be saying, okay, if we can get our government aligned with universities and aligned with the private sector, and then add on top of that the technology that is coming our way, we can
Yes.
start gearing our kids and our young people for future jobs.
Okay.
And so if you look at your children, they are not necessarily, they're still traditional styles of teaching at schools. You're not allowed to use your cell phone as an example. You're not allowed
Sure.
to use your tablets. And some schools are a bit more progressive, but others are not. And
Okay.
so we need to change that
All right.
mindset.
No problem. Thank you very much, Vashti. Okay, to our impromptu panelist, you spoke about, you guys are an institution that trains and so forth. I'm interested in what are the aftercare solutions that you guys have in place after training? Is there some kind of follow-up that you do?
So what we basically do is we obviously, with the different companies that we work with, most of which are within the manufacturing and operations management space, and some part of it supply chain management. What we try to do with that is have some form of skills development matrix, meaning give them the plan as to what the continuation can be in terms of mapping the current skill that they have or the one that they retained within that 12-month a contract of them doing a learnership or doing an internship program. So what we can do for organization with the hope of trying to ensure that these candidates are actually retrained and are trained further in terms of their skill and trying to ensure that they do indeed become employable and we don't just tick the box for training, is that we actually provide our clients with a skills matrix that basically shows them progression. So you'll have a candidate that came into our institution on an NQF 1 hygiene and cleaning qualification that has now progressed all the way to an NQF 8 qualification, which is in this instance a BCom honors in quality management. So I think what we can do as a training institution in terms of trying to address the skill shortage that we have within our country is try and also plan with the client or plan with the specific company in terms of what are going to be your human development skills within the next 5 years. What kind of candidate are you looking for? So we filter all of that into our recruitment process as well, because some clients we actually do recruit for them in terms of the unemployed solutions that we offer. So we try and ensure that whatever candidate we put in, it's a kind of candidate that will, number one, fit into the organizational culture and look into the long term. So we don't just do the training for the purpose of training, but this is somebody that they can actually see within a specific job within the next 5-10 years of the training plan.
Sure. Okay, thank you for that. To the audience, please get your questions ready. I really, really would like us to engage. And hopefully on record, we can then have some kind of documentum where we take your inputs and really file it into, a record of decisions or some kind of policy that we can present to industry and to government as well. The brother, you spoke about, being in the clothing industry. You're the only brother here. Unless Jay, you want to tell us something else.
No,
huh?
no, no,
It's
no.
okay. So, oftentimes we have a picture of manufacturing being this big plant, with machines that we only see on movies. And then some other machines talk to you, and then the other ones move, and you're like, yeah, no, this is a serious plant. But manufacturing can be in your kitchen. You can make skincare products right there in your home. When you have a machine to sew, and you have your needles, and you have your stitching, that's your plant, right? So the question that I have for you is, what are the needs of an SMME in your sector, especially the clothing industry? Because I see we've had the Chinese, come in, take over the textile industry. What have your experiences been when you go to someone and say, hey, so I've got a brand, I'm selling these pairs of jeans. What is the response?
Okay. Firstly, if you are not established, popular or known, it might be a bit of a challenge to actually sell your products to people because people are very brand conscious.
Yes.
And they always go for what's trending, what's new, what's popular, such. And in terms of, sorry, could you please repeat your question?
Shem, you are nervous, ne? No, I can
Yeah,
see,
sort of.
it's all right, you are nervous.
First time.
So what are the needs? It's okay, they must take as a picture of you. Post it, this is branding. You're talking about branding, they must just take a picture and send it to you. So I asked you, what are the needs of an SMME in your sector? That's one. That's the first. And then the second, which is integrated, is what have your experiences been when you are going to sell something to someone? What do they say? What are their responses? What are their reactions?
Okay. Firstly, the needs of SMME in my sector would basically be, to be honest, financial support in terms of machinery, place to work from, even the raw materials that we need, needles, thread, etc., etc. And secondly, what we actually need is the actual skilled people that will actually be pushing the work, because we as designers could basically be taken as the intellectual aspect of the whole design process, because we're the one who create these things. Like we imagine the product, and these things, they have to go through manufacturing in order to be tangible. So what we need is people who actually are competent in maybe even as far as knowing your weaves. There's things like different types of weaves.
Did you just say weaves like?
No, not weave, not the hair.
Oh.
The weave of the
No,
fabric.
no, that's a new conference altogether. Please don't go there, my brother. Don't go there.
No, not hair, not hair.
Okay. So the
see-
weaving of the
Yeah,
knitting, right?
Of the fabric, yes.
You just pulled a homophone in English
Yeah.
on me. Okay.
Yes, because it's actually very technical. Like people might think that you just take a fabric through the machine and that's that. It's not the end of it, because it's a lot of things. You have different aspects to the actual manufacturing of clothing. You have to start with the design, which is a
Sure.
conceptual aspect. Then you go to the pattern making. And for it to get to the pattern making, there are other technical things that have to happen by the designer. There's technical drawings, etc. Okay, so from pattern making, then from pattern making, cutting, then manufacturing, which is production, going to the machines, etc. So all of those aspects need to be covered because they're very specialized. It's one person or group of people who'd be dealing with that aspect of the production chain. So if we could have some sort of way of educating people, making them competent in terms of that would be very helpful to us. Because even our government colleges, I could name a few. It's CJC, it's Ekurhuleni East College.
I think you have a
Yeah,
member that's from CJC. Holla back, lady.
Yeah, but both of them actually, they basically ended the fashion course within both of them, and that leaves the youth at a very disadvantaged position in terms of gaining the knowledge of how to execute these jobs. Because now, my experience through looking for labor to help me, it has mostly been older ladies, which have basically spent maybe most of their youth going towards their age where they're at now, which know the work. So you'd find that one lady has only been doing buttonholes her whole life.
Sure.
You see, the one lady has only been sewing zips her whole life. You see, so when it comes to that, that's actually it holds us back a lot, because, I mean, you need to be flexible, or if not, you need to have the people who actually know what they're doing and being placed properly in those positions to do that job. So if, like, where I am right now, I'm actually capable of doing all three, which is the drawing, the pattern, and the actual construction. So if we could have institutions, whether government or private sector, either way, that would actually provide such training, and that would be very helpful. You see, so in terms of what we need, I think that covers everything. And yeah, the selling part, as I said, it's very hard if you're not established, if you're not if you're not a well-known brand to get your things out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
You put Louis Vuitton here, you put Mashiko's net bag, they go, not
Yeah.
that.
And the worst part of it is that it might be the same T-shirt, for instance, or the same quality, because
Right.
it's all depends on the weight of the weave and whatever. But then, just because there's a badge of Louis Vuitton, maybe like a centimeter small, on that, it would be like maybe 100 times more expensive than the one that I would have printed
Sure.
on. You see, so
Sure.
those are some of our challenges.
Great stuff. I think you mentioned quite a critical point. In my visits and also traveling, a lot of countries have mastered the art of specializing. I think in South Africa, I'm not sure if it stems from our constitution and everything, but we are all over the place. If we learn to specialize, for example, if you go to New York, you'll have a restaurant that only sells cheesecakes. They don't have hot dogs and scones and all of that. It's cheesecake. Simple. Then you'll go to a university that teaches journalism, and it's only journalism and the value chains around that. And then you'll go to the side, maybe in Ghana as well, you have a BSc in agriculture or a BSc in technology. Everything is BSc, but it's got segments. So I think as well as, skills development facilitators, service providers, we need to teach people how to specialize. Because sometimes you start something, you're not patient enough to let it grow. You're not patient enough to be an expert in it, you know. And once you are trusted, it's not really over number of years. It's how well you build a portfolio of evidence. That's very important. When I started in business, the first 3 years, I made sure that I was pro bono. I lived on my savings for 3 years. But today, I'm Tabang Mashego, and there's no one like me. I'm not being vain, ne? I'm just, it's in context of the discussion. Manufacturing my own things. Right, can we have questions? Oh, I'm loving the questions. I'm so happy, I'm so excited. So keep your hands up because then I'm going to do but I'm gonna go according to age specific so that you don't keep your hand for too long. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so sir, I recognize you, you'll be number 1. Down here, you'll be number 2. Ma'am, you'll be number 3. And ma'am, right there, you'll be number 4. So we're gonna have those first questions, ne? Okay, and then I'm gonna start the second part. There was someone here? Okay, you'll be number 1 for the second part. 2 for the second part. 3, yes ma'am, I see you. 4, you are 4. Lady, you're number 4, ne? You're number 4, yes, yes. And then, okay, 5, hey, 6, and then 7, ne? At the back. And then, is there somebody else at the back there? I did note you, I think. Did I note you? Okay, you number 8. All right. So please don't forget your numbers. Are we together? We are happy? Hello?
Yes, hello.
Thank you. Yes, sir. You're number 1.
I am. Hi. Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Whoops. Hello, my name is Mike, Mixilis in Greek, actually. I'm going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons here because I'm going to ask you a question. If you can answer this question, we will literally be able to solve all our skills problems in this country.
Okay.
Over the last 8 years, I was born an engineer, and I've now.
Hey, this man is so excited. That time he doesn't look like you.
I've been reborn as basically a specialist in research and development and trying to find out to solve problem solve basically.
Okay.
To help the communities.
Sure.
I was working for an NPC before, and I joined the company about a year ago to try and find out what was going on, why were things working in this one particular company. And I discovered that the person is a Greek chap. His name is Mike Newmer. You'll meet him tomorrow. He's on a panel discussion. I discovered that because this man could make things like this, it's gold, but it's handcrafted. He made it 20 years ago. Because he could do this, he started taking in young black students, deaf students and ladies and young black men, and started teaching them how to do this. Now, he had no clue about accredited training or anything. He just knew it. He was just a very, very good jewelry manufacturer. Now, because he built a business from scratch, from his garage, over about 20, 25 years, he found the route to market. Now what he did is, because he had developed a trust with the clients and the manufacturers, other manufacturers, they were trusting him with metals and stuff like that. Okay, so this is jewelry manufacturing. So he started getting jewelry product for his students and asking his students to find their clients within the townships and other areas.
Okay.
So because of that, he was giving them support to become SMMEs. Now, I only found this out about a year ago when I started researching. I found all his ex-students and found that just over 93% of all his students...
Okay, I'm going to have to stop you, sir.
Okay.
We can't really hear you.
Okay, sorry. I discovered that 93% of his students are...
No, that's worse. That's worse. So
Okay.
these mics are...
All right.
were developed from
Sorry.
industrial... No,
Okay.
Industrial Revolution.
Now, I
So they need you to
okay.
stand backwards like this. Just be relaxed and just talk.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, absolutely.
I discovered that just under 95% of his students are working. They're employed, actually. Now, he didn't know that himself. So my question is, He only went into as a training provider a couple of years ago. So my question is this. If you can get training providers who know the accreditation process to get together with businesses that know the route to market and know the struggles of having built up a business from a garage 30 years ago, if we can get them together, because the training providers are the specialists in accreditation, but now we've got to get government to do what they're doing in China and India, and they've completely taken over our jewelry industry. But what they did in China, they dropped the tax from 37% to 0% to try and get the exports out, and they penalize imports. So all I'm asking is, how do you propose we do that when we've got a tripartite system that's enclosed in brick walls? Training providers, business, universities, and the government.
Sure.
How do we get them together when the businessman only wants to make money? He's not like Michael Newmer that became a training provider and started training a lot of young black kids.
Sure.
He's got about 45 students at the moment. 8% are deaf and 34% women.
Okay.
And they're making this kind of jewelry.
Okay. Thank
do
you
we do
so
that?
much.
How can we do that?
Beautiful background. Don't the rest of you give backgrounds, okay? This was an exception. But I think the microphone helped you, actually, because the mic was bad. But I think the most important thing about your question there is, you're right. Business is all about profit. Service providers are in business. Those who are in training institutions, it's all about the accreditation. But the content is not there. The content lies in our communities and with people that you're saying have 30 years experience and so forth. So I think I'll take the first 4 and then you can answer accordingly. Okay, number 2.
Afternoon, everyone. It's Mkoli Sima Pagela from Wholesale and Retail CETA, which is the WNR CETA. I'm responsible for skills planning and research. So mine, it's really a comment with some solutions there and there, because I believe we have to get the basics right before we can think the 4th industrial revolution. So for effective skills planning for economic growth that will lead to employment, remember, for employment to be created, the economy need to grow at a certain percentage. So the first thing that will need to happen, what that we need to get right, is our basic system, our basic education system. Because currently, 50% of those that start primary school don't finish matric. That's a problem.
Yes.
And then number 2, employer participation. Employer participation. You can train as much as you want.
Yeah.
But that training will lead to unemployment. And that training will not be responsive and will not have a bigger impact into the labor market. And the last point that we need to do, I think it also touches to the point that was mentioned by EW CETA CEO, that I believe we need to move away from numbers and focus more on evidence-based and demand-driven skills planning. That will solve most of our problems.
Oh, you done? All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Number 3. Number 3, I think you know yourself, innit? Do you know yourself, number 3? Yeah. Number 3, where are you? Okay, number 3? Okay, they might have taken a toilet break. Yes.
Hi. My name is Nodlandla Makatini. I'm from Kumbe Waste Management. So I have a few questions and answer for you, Tabang. See, we can't specialize because we have this mentality as entrepreneurs of not keeping your eggs in one basket. So, when you walk in for cheesecake, what if you want a latte and a cappuccino to go with the cheesecake?
Has the cheesecake made you money yet?
Yes.
Oh, is it?
Yes, but the overheads, it's not enough. It's direct labor cost because now there's flour, electricity, you understand?
Is that a question, ma'am?
No, I'm answering you.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't pose a question, I made a statement. And
It's a statement.
I have every right to make a statement because I'm the program director, so I can do what I want.
I withdraw.
So
Let me
next.
speak.
Next.
It's a question to AE.
Okay.
Thank you for sending the supply chain manager herself here. We know where to send the black bags and the brown envelopes now.
Hey, Barabaskel, Kapashe, Ubuyaphi.
Pietermaritzburg.
Okay, no. All right.
So the problem we find as SMMEs in dealing with such big companies is we never meet the standards. As you said, you outsource most of your product or businesses, half of it is outsourced. So as an entrepreneur, what are the standards I need to have? I think you asked that question too. Who sets the prices? Do I tell you that I charge 150 or do you tell me you're going to pay me 150? It's all about the price formation. And that goes to the other entrepreneurs. Who exactly sets the prices? Especially the people who are in retail, because you never find out with if I'm bargaining with you and say, okay, I'll give you 300 now, and you know your pants cost 700. So if you can just talk about that issues of pricing. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 4. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Tabang. My name is Natasha. I'm from a private training provider within the clothing sector.
Okay.
So I just wanted to answer one of the questions you asked for the needs for the SMMEs in the sector.
Yes.
And I can sit here and say to you is that we need young people. And I know that that's not only for the manufacturing of clothing, but also manufacturing per se. And it's only because manufacturing's not sexy. Because your parents were in...
Hold, pause. You said manufacturing, not...
Not sexy, Tabang. That's
Hey, this conference, I don't know, I'm telling you, eh?
No,
It's serious, okay.
That's the way we speak to our learners, is because we're trying to get them into something that their parents have spent 20 to 30 to 40 years in.
Sure.
And they haven't seen growth. So they're sitting there, and I'm young too, I'm millennial. So I know I'm looking for gratification almost immediately to see what's the next step. And
Okay.
that's where I agree with Libby in saying that you have to advise them of the career path.
Sure.
What's next? There always has to be a next step, and especially for the younger people going into manufacturing.
Okay.
There's a huge need for it, but you also need to look at progression, and it also comes back to the 4th Industrial Revolution to say, what are those skills and what are you going to be in 10, 15 years from now? Because they don't want to sit behind a machine for 30, 40 years like their parents did.
Aish.
That's just my comment.
Powerful girl. Very powerful. Sexy comment, actually. No, but it's very true. In this day and age, young people are very fast-paced, you know, you're looking, and I think one of the panelists, I think it was you, Vashti, who mentioned a very important point that if an organization does not aid in your personal development, you don't see your future in it. So you're right that we actually need to be growing. You don't want to be stuck 30, 40 years in something. No offense if you have been, because you're now an expert in that. But you're right in saying diversification and also movement is very important. Okay, so that was not the first part. The second part, so number 1 from the second part. Say, I know it was you, but you are reading your emails, so I don't know if I should skip you. Hi. Hi, yeah. You were number 1. Yes, of course. Hey, yeah, no? It's tough being in this summit. I think we need another tea break, Beverly. Okay, yes, sir. Who are you, where are you from, and what's your question?
Okay, thanks a lot, Program Director. I'm Avela Skwane from Simaf Shek Consultants and Training.
Okay.
I'm sitting next to a clothing manufacturer brother. She's here.
That's
Now,
the connection.
You asked a question to one of our panelists up there, which says, how does she think South Africa should do different in terms of skills development?
Okay.
In line with the obvious challenges and the upcoming threat. It's not a threat, it's an opportunity of the 4th Industrial Revolution. I want to add on what she said and what my brother there, I've forgotten his name.
No, he's your brother, it's okay.
He said something as well. If we don't take up this initiative upon ourselves in terms of paradigm shifting into the structure of our educational sector, including the skills development sector, it's good that we're having a skills development summit 2019. My contribution would be, we should sit back and ask ourselves, do we still need the current curriculum? My answer to that is an obvious no. I'm looking at a curriculum which will say from grade 1 to grade 7, I'm putting together the foundation towards academic growth. Then from grade 8 to grade 12, I'm pulling in now the skills development, which we are currently providing for those who have completed the education in diplomas and in degrees. We no more need those qualifications.
Sure.
But what we need is a skills development curriculum which will say to the incumbent, you are getting ready for industries.
Okay.
In fact, our company's mission is to bring change to industries using SHAC as a catalyst.
Okay.
SHAC being safety, health, environment, and quality.
Okay.
Now, I want to challenge the mindset of the South Africans.
That's your closing statement, isn't it?
To
Because
say,
you haven't paid
let's
for
shift our
marketing.
paradigm shift. Let's shift our paradigm in terms of looking at the academic growth
Great.
versus skills development.
Okay.
The last part which you wanted so quickly is that issue of challenging the panel, the entire
Everybody here,
attendance
yes.
including the SADC region,
Okay.
to say, yes, we're talking skills development. Are we aware of the relevant standard which we should comply with as skills developers?
Good.
We're talking of CETA, TITA, and everybody, but can we align ourselves to one international standard? We
Sure.
can talk to our skills development sector.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Please develop it. There's no teacher that exists, ne? Mara, develop it
Shaq
and
has
then
it.
come to us.
I'll
Shaq
have
is
it.
there.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Hey, marketing. Yeah, you are clever, huh? Okay, we have to move swiftly. I've got only literally 8 minutes, okay? So please, guys, keep your questions short. You know, please, ne? Because some of you, I think you wished to be on the panel, but I'm so sorry, I did not choose you. Okay, all right, so number 2, quickly, please, very quickly.
Afternoon, I'm Tony Namane from Namane Design Industries. Well, okay, I'll try and keep it short. But
Don't try, just do it.
all right, cool. To the first panelist, I just wanted to reiterate what she was talking about, mindset. You know, I think that's the biggest challenge that we have in this country throughout. Because, like you said, business people just want to make money.
Yes.
Entrepreneurs are trying to find their
Yes.
way. Government just wants to do what government does.
Yes.
Training people want to train.
What's
but
the question?
Basically, okay, what I'm saying is that, you know, there needs to be some kind of pull together. And being an entrepreneur and also having challenges that I've had, I've come to realize that one of the best things that any business can have is to build a team.
Okay.
I mean, I personally, I'm a designer. It's very difficult. You know, you need to have somebody that can advise you with business, can
Yes.
advise you with all of that.
Sure.
But, okay, what I then wanted to...
You are asking your question now.
Yes, I'm asking my question now. Thank you. To the second panelist, I think, Veshni. You spoke about, when I was speaking about retention, skills retention, you spoke about developing people. Like, can you give us some examples? Like, if you're in an industry or within the sector that you're in, how would you suggest that we develop the people that we already have in order to retain skills?
Great. Hey, Norman. Next time you all will pay for entrance, huh? When you come here, because you all are seriously getting marketing. Okay, number 3. Number 3. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I actually don't want to introduce myself because it's going to open a whole debate. But I'm Ansi Nagel from the FPNM CETA, under which the clothing, textile, footwear, leather, and other about 9 sectors is falling.
Okay.
FPNM CETA, and it's just a comment. I'm not going to raise a question. It's
Okay.
just a comment. And info that I'm giving is we do have learnerships that are training the skilled, unskilled, multi-skill employees, and there is specializations. If you just short on NQF level 2 learnership, you can either specialize in cutting, finishing, pattern making, or sewing. There's NQF level 1 where you start a garment from the beginning to the end, and we now, with the new occupational qualifications, actually develop a handicraft qualification. So FPNM CETA is there.
Okay.
And I'm the learning program manager, and we can definitely share information to the panel or to people here, if necessary, through organizers of this work.
Sure. Okay, brother, so you've got literally a lot of contacts here. So next summit, you can't be saying, we're looking for skills, they are here, otherwise I'll slap you. Okay. Okay, number 4. No, I'm kidding, that was a joke. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I'm from the Bureau of Standards. My name is Pindile. I don't have a question. It's actually a comment
Okay.
or a concern. You raised a question or you asked the panel the needs for SMMEs.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
my worry is, because I work very close with SMMEs in developing them to comply with quality standards. So the gap is huge, especially in the manufacturing space.
Sure.
So my worry is, will we, come 2021, I'm not sure if SMMEs will be ready to employ like 19% of the population, seeing the current status quo. So my comment is, or my recommendation or whatever, probably we need more intervention from government to ensure that they enforce compliance. Because people can be specialists. For example, I might say I'm a chemist, but it doesn't qualify me to manufacture a chemical or
Sure.
any detergent, because I think I've got a BSc or whatever in chemistry. I still need to comply to South African national standards. So
Right.
the gap is huge.
Okay, thank you. And we actually need guidance on those policies around compliance. We need education around that. And we need more sponsorship around the pilots as well. Because people have pilot projects, they've got prototypes that need to be funded. So you are a big need, Sisiwe SAPS. Ne? Please can you leave us with your contact details?
Okay.
We are going to hound you, and we'll haunt you as well. Thank you so much. Number 5? Number 5. Yes, please, my brother, keep it short. Otherwise your mic will be switched off.
All right, thank you. My name is Temitokwa Ijalade from Flipos Express International.
Okay.
I would like to keep the question short as you requested. Looking at all these fantastic skilled academies, organization and all that, and looking at the number of unemployed, about 300,000. And the question that comes to my mind, I don't know if the right authority or channel that I need to direct this question.
Okay, please speak closer to the mic so we can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know if the right authority where I need to direct this question are on ground.
Okay.
Okay, if we have these fantastic organizations, academic, training, skills, whatever, and we have 3,000 unemployed, okay, why are we still having these outrageous numbers? And take, for instance, the pharmaceutical industry, the drugs producers in South Africa. Africa imports up to 70 to 90% of its drugs from other nations. Here, we have in South Africa, presently, about 276 or 286 drug producers. And according to DTI, South Africa needs 12,000 drug producers in South Africa, that is 50 to manage about 100,000 people. Yet, we have all these skills. Are we developing the right set of skills? And secondly, with all these things, the people that really need these skills are in the locations, in the rural areas. How are we connecting the unconnected?
That's
the
true.
people that really need these services, need these skills. Until we look in this direction, or till these questions have been answered, I think we still have to go back to what Ms. Umpo said. We need proper planning. We need to have what our target is. So what are we doing in that regard?
Sure. So rural and township development coming up there, that's very important. Thank you. Number 6? Where are you, number 6?
Yes.
Oh, okay, number 6. Please don't have an opening statement, just get to the question. Ne?
Yes, my question is going to be short and straightforward.
Okay.
I hear about the crying about the partnership. But the real problem, the big elephant that we're facing is a transformation. Even though we can go dodging, going up and there.
Sure.
The big problem is transformation, all policies that are running industry, that are not going with the times that we're in.
Okay.
Until we transform the industry, the inequality will still going forward.
It's true. All right. No, I'm with you, my brother. That was your statement. No question? Oh, okay, fine. Number 7. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Valentine Sharon Mashilo from.
Your name is Valentine.
Yes.
Beautiful name.
Thank you, darling. Anyway, okay, I got like a lot of them, so I know you're gonna try and cut me off. so
No,
I'm
no,
gonna
no,
rush.
hold on. You said you've got a lot of what?
No, nothing. Don't worry.
No, no. One question, sis. Very, very, only one.
Okay, this is the thing. It goes back to what everybody is saying.
Exactly.
You guys are
That's why it
not
must be one.
looking at you're not looking at the right places. Townships and rural areas, they have a lot to offer.
Sure.
And sometimes, like, especially these things, it's like it takes a lot to somebody to actually get here who want to be here.
Yeah.
Can't we go take all of this and
To
give
the
it to them?
location.
Please, can we
Ish.
just do that?
Yeah.
And then another thing, the NPOs, the small businesses and the big businesses and the government, we all connected together. The thing
Sure.
is, we don't even give each other a chance to actually prove ourselves to each
Yeah.
other. So I really think that we should go back and looking in that. And then in changing the mindset as well, it is from, we were taught matric, university, get a job. Can we change the whole matric, university, get a job? Can we do the whole matric, university, and be your own business person? You understand? So if we change that, that will be great.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Sisi. I like those points. Well summarized. I'm proud of you. Number 8, which is the last guy. Oh, was there someone at the back? Okay, it's a question. I trust you. You look very trustworthy to ask a question without your opening statement.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair. I didn't put up my hand, but you did give me the opportunity.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. I thought of a question. My name is Josie Singeram from Local Government CETA. I think there were 3 key points that were made for me that are cross-cutting across all contexts, and it's part of the skills revolution that we haven't realized. And it was around every day being a learning day, the concept of lifelong learning, and about shifting mindsets. But the Skills Development Act in 1998, which was 21 years ago, stipulated that every workplace should become an active learning environment. And then you ask the question, what is the right skill set? I think we often treat skills development as an event and not as a process, because we should have been realizing the skill sets are evolving over time. They don't just come upon us. So
Sure.
I think as part of skills planning, which was mentioned I think earlier this morning, it plays a critical role in this. And then your second question was around strategy. So the question to the panel is, what strategy can we implement to make that reality and that outcome of every workplace being an active learning environment? Thank you.
Brilliant. I really think that question deserves a round of applause. I mean, because honestly, yeah, I like you, lady. Okay, the real number 7 now, because now she was like 6.5. So I know, my guy, you the real number 7. Quickly, please.
This is what I believe. I believe that in the working environment is where talents, it's rather a hub of talents. And then now, respective of the trainings that you might have got before you go into the working environment, if you haven't got a really proper foundation at the ground,
Sure.
chances are the country's economy is never going to grow rapidly. Now,
Yeah.
it still remains a question of, with what the president has actually recently said, that they want to transform the country's economy by investing into education. If they're still going to be using the very same methods, there's a saying that says, if you keep on doing what you've always done, you keep on
the
getting
same
what
results.
you've always got. Now, I believe that I was telling a gentleman next to me not very long ago, before we got into the auditorium, that all of us were just like seeds. And then now, there's a certain field, or rather a soil, that if we find ourselves being exposed to that kind of a soil, we're likely to produce better results than anywhere else in the world. So, but then now we are all programmed and conditioned to become, I'm sorry to be using this word, to become better working slaves by saying, it's been told, it's been said, it's still going to be said that education is the key to success, which partially it is true. I believe that just because of your holding a key does not necessarily mean you can unlock every lock.
Okay.
However, a specific key can only open a specific lock. When we go into the right folds, that says from the ground, if we are nurtured to be in the right folds, all these training institutions.
Brother, I feel like I'm in a church service and you're preaching to my spirit and my mind, and I really appreciate that. What's the question?
It was a recommendation that let our government invest properly in the foundation of education so that the future can become better.
I love that. Please
My
give him
name
a
is
round of
George
applause.
Barrow.
I think that was amazing. Thank you so much. I think, guys, the inputs. This session was energized. Bev, I hope you're taking notes. We need a lot of panelists from this session. They're in the audience. So we're going to definitely have you tomorrow or maybe the next summit. Okay, so to our panelists, we don't have much time. Please integrate your answers as your closing and final remarks. Okay, we'll start with you, Mrs. Fear.
Thank you, everybody. I am absolutely delighted by the comments and the questions. Just sort of summarizing, I think we've got to hold up the mirror, and as we investigate jobs, as we investigate workplace, as we start to look at lifelong learning, as we start to create learning environments within our workplaces, one of the mirrors we've got to hold ourselves up to and we've got to look at is our function of being fit for purpose.
Sure.
So it means that we turn everything around in terms of, a lot of training providers and people that sit here in terms of our function. And hence my comments around paradigm shift and different conversations that start with the end in mind and sort of we start to work backwards. So there's a number of levers obviously that need to change in terms of, fit for purpose and going forward. And in order for us to do that, certainly collaboration and doing different, which is, I think, changing mindsets, starting right at the top of businesses, CEOs. You do have business initiatives, but sometimes I don't think they have the power that they need to have. So something has to dramatically shift in terms of how we partner, and what the center of that partnership needs to look like. We have to come up with what best practice looks like from a community and from a rural development point of view, and the opportunities, the success stories that Mike shared. And everything around what Mike almost said was it stemmed from the job, it stemmed from there, and everything sort of, the magic worked backwards. So we certainly need to look at that. And just in closing, a nice article that I got off Singularity University, which is obviously innovation sort of technology hub in Silicon Valley. So they identified the 7 critical skills for jobs of the future as critical thinking and problem solving, collaboration across networks and leading by influence, agility and adaptability, initiative and entrepreneurship, effective oral and written communication, assessing and analyzing information, curiosity and imagination, transforming the future of education. And I think that applies in every shape and form of the conversations we've had.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Vashti Chetty?
So firstly, thank you for inviting me to be part of this discussion. It's been a privilege, and it's been great to see the energy in the room. We certainly, I think we've established that, we certainly have a skills gap in the sector. It is massive, and industry alone is not going to solve this. So definitely collaboration and partnerships is what we need. We need to define what the new jobs are going to look like. We need to define what the skills gap interventions are going to be, and we need to partner with our service providers to be able to close that gap.
Right. Vashti, thank you. To the point. Very nice. Okay.
Oh, hi. So I think I'm just going to touch on the gentleman's comment with regards to where does the 3 pillars come in terms of the business, the training provider, as well as government. I think it's a very good discussion to be had with regards to what needs to happen and how we can collaborate and make sure that the training that we do actually offer is relevant to what the country needs as a whole in terms of skills. So without that collaboration, obviously there is no room for us to operate as a business in terms of being a service provider. So that's a very important question to be had. So we stay relevant and actually address skills of the future, or jobs of the future.
Okay, thank you. Brother?
I'm going to be very industry specific here. In terms of making the workplace a place of learning, I think for the mere fact that a factory is so big and it's a warehouse and all that, they might have a room somewhere where they can gather people and teach them how to do it. And I think the best way to do that would be maybe to take their older employees and turn them into teachers instead of having to go train somebody else to teach maybe the people who are interested in learning, since the colleges now have let us down. And the private institutions are way too expensive for most people in the township or rural areas to afford. So I think that would be the best way. And then, yeah, in terms of the pricing, as my sister over there asked, well, as far as I know, how I work is that it depends on the cost of the raw materials and the detail in the garment itself, which would now determine the price. And in terms of factories, I would think that it's same thing when it comes to raw materials and probably man hours. So that would now come together and make the price then.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our panel.